Hello, this video is going to be about how and why I did 9,432 push-ups in 23 days. You're going to be able to see me complete those push-ups as well with the video in the corner, which would be kind of a sped up, video account of me doing those push-ups. So you'll be able to see me do all 9,432 and all the fun costume changes I do as part of that. I'll also walk through what my kind of preparation was, how I went actually doing kind of 470 push-ups a day. Give you a little bit of insight into that, and then I'll finish off with some closing thoughts as well. So I hope you enjoy it. So how did I get to this place where I was signing up to do 9,432 push-ups in 23 days? Well, there was a push-up challenge kind of initiative that was sent out as part of work, and it's actually just an ongoing annual event where people do 3,144 push-ups across 23 days in June, and that's to represent the 3,144 people who died in Australia by suicide in 2021. So one push-up for each person. So when I heard about this, it kind of lit a bit of a fire within me. I'm always looking for physical ways, especially, of pushing myself and kind of pushing my barriers and, hey, can I actually do this or not? I really enjoy that. So when I heard about it, I went, oh, okay, that sounds interesting. That sounds pretty cool. I might see if I might sign myself up for this. Talked to a couple of people and they said, yeah, it's kind of tough and it's, you got to find time to do the push-ups and you wake up sore and all that sort of stuff. And I thought, well, if the average person can do 3,144, then I should be able to do at least double or triple that. I should be able to. So I started doing a little bit of experimenting and I realized, oh yeah, I think I could probably do double. I think I could pretty safely say I could do double. But I thought, what about triple? Getting close to 10,000, that sounds pretty cool. But I don't actually know whether I can do it or not. So it was kind of positive in that sense because it wasn't something that I knew that I could do. I was really going for something where I might actually fail, particularly due to injury or anything like that. And I only had about a month to prepare. So that's how I got to a place where I signed myself up to do 9,432 push-ups in 23 days. So let's talk preparation. How did I prepare to get myself into a space where I could do 9,432 push-ups in 23 days? Well, I had to really figure out the approach. I think that was the most important thing that I had to do, actually, because I had 5 weeks to prepare. So I needed to figure out kind of, can I do all the push-ups at the start of the day? Do I need to split them at the start of the day and the end of the day? What about if I do them throughout the whole day? What does that feel like, actually? So to start off with, I measured myself how many push-ups I could do kind of in a row. So just doing 10 at a time, so sets of just 10, and doing those sets continuously 2 minutes back to back. So that was my first kind of testing. I ended up doing 170 odd for the first day, and then only 130 odd for the second day. So immediately I went, nah, I can't do that. I can't get fit enough in like 4 or 5 weeks to be able to do 500 push-ups kind of in a row at the start of the day, which is a bit of a pain because with work and stuff, it's nice to be able to knock them off in the morning, for example, so that I can focus on work. So can't do that, that's fine. What was the next one? The next one was, okay, well, if I can't do that because my strength fails and I literally can't do another one, when I do so many in a row. So if my strength fails there, then I've got to do the opposite end. I've got to work around strength. If I split up the push-ups across the whole day, then it won't impact my strength won't be the defining factor anymore. So I did a handful of days, 4 or 5 days, I'm not really sure exactly, maybe even more, where I did 10 push-ups every 15 minutes throughout the whole day. And because my rough aim was for 9,432 push-ups was to do about 470 per day, I started with, 200 push-ups. I've got to do 200 push-ups today, and I'm going to do one set of push-ups every 15 minutes. Tried that, started to play around with the numbers as well, 200 to up to 250. How did that feel? How did that go? And it was all roughly fine. It worked out pretty well with work as well. It meant that I could just do a set of 10 push-ups, takes like 20 seconds while I'm doing work, and then set an alarm and I could just come back and start doing some work. It was all fine. However, what I found was that instead of the strength being the limiting factor, if I spread the push-ups throughout the whole day, I started to get really tight, like really, really, really tight and quite sensitive. And so something else was happening. Again, I don't know what physiologically was happening to make me feel like that, but it was very different. It was like whatever happens, everything was so tight, and I was trying to stretch out, and I had a massage gun and stuff. Still didn't help that much, actually. And so I kind of, as I got through the weeks, that was after a couple of weeks, I tried out both these approaches, and I realized I think I'm just going to have to find a middle ground. And so the middle ground and the final approach that I landed on was basically, how do I do a bunch of push-ups in a row and just kind of do a whole chunk? How do I do 150 push-ups in a kind of, hour period or more even, where I'm not letting myself cool down, where I'm staying warm enough that, this tightening thing doesn't happen, where everything gets super tight. I'm staying warm enough so that I can do that, but I'm not limiting myself so that I'm kind of run out of strength. I ran out of the physical ability to do a push-up before the end of the day. That's the approach that I landed on. So you will see in the video in the corner that actually you'll see that sometimes I am wearing kind of different clothes, or often it's the same time of day for a chunk, and then it'll swap to a different time of day. And that's because how I managed it was doing roughly 200 to 250 push-ups in the morning before work, doing some around lunchtime, and then doing a big chunk in the afternoon as well. So that was the overall approach. In terms of preparation as well, just to mention some other things, I mentioned a massage gun earlier. I used the massage gun basically every night to get blood in and around my shoulders and my chest, particularly a bit in my triceps as well. So that was crucial. Absolutely needed to have the massage gun. Did some stretching as well, nothing major, but just did some stretching to make sure that I wasn't so tight. So that was a big piece of it. The number of push-ups that I completed in preparation was just over 5,000. So within a period of about 5 weeks, I did about 5,000 push-ups in preparation, and I left myself 3 or 4 days right at the end of May before I started on June 1st. So tried to give myself a bit of time to recover and before I embarked onto the challenge proper. But now when I think back, actually 3 or 4 days wasn't enough, because I still definitely was not at 100% when I kicked off. So that was kind of my approach. That was some of the things that I used to keep myself from getting sore. I had some supplements and stuff as well. I heard that zinc is important. No, not zinc. I heard magnesium. I heard magnesium is important, so I got some magnesium. Got some vitamin D, because that's always useful, especially in winter, because it's winter here. So those are all the things that I did physically. And then in terms of preparation, mentally, I didn't really do much, to be honest. I just had to grapple with this idea of, hey, you might not be able to do it, actually. At the end of the day, you might fail, and that's okay. That's fine. Even if people are donating money and stuff, use that as a motivator, but you don't need to use that as a sort of, this has to happen or else you've stuffed up and you've failed. So it was kind of interesting juggling that sense of, I'm trying to do something really cool and awesome, but I'm kind of scared because I might not be able to do it, and that kind of sucks. So there's a bit of insight into my preparation. Next, we'll go into how the actual challenge went. So the push-up challenge went for 23 days. I had 23 days that I had to do 9,432 push-ups in. I did about 470 a day on average in order to get to that total across the days, while including 3 rest days. So I kind of chunked it out into five days. I think it was 5, 6, 5, 4. 5 days on, 1 rest day. 6 days on, 1 rest day. 5 days on, 1 rest day, and then 4. That sounds like it adds up roughly. And this allowed me to, have a day where I could let my body rest and recuperate, but also gave me a chance to go into the office for work as well. So, if I had to do it again and I didn't have to go into the office, would I reduce the amount of push-ups per day and not have any rest days? I don't think so, actually. I think the rest days were crucial. I noticed that on the rest days, I was quite worn out and actually really quite tired, really tired, in fact. But then the day after, the first day coming back from the rest day, I could do the push-ups easy. Like, they went down a treat. So that was nice. That was a good learning, actually. And, I mean, just demonstrated how important rest is. You know, I mean, I think everyone knows that. But that was a big part of it. So in terms of doing the actual challenge, had these big chunks in a row where I just had to day in, day out aim for 470 push-ups a day. And that was tough. Honestly, it was so tough. To wake up every single morning at 6:30 in the morning is when I would roughly wake up, and just be in bed and just think, can I just stay here? I can't just lay here and enjoy this, or sit and scroll on my phone, or whatever it is. I got to get up. I got to get ready. I got to start doing these push-ups sooner rather than later. So that was tough. That was really just the mental barrier of having something to do every day that is painful and discomforting, was really a struggle. But what helped me get through? What helped me get through that kind of mental struggle and the physical struggle, kind of both, were a few things. One, I had some good motivating factors. So because I raised money, I had a lot of people who were kind of following me, and I used that as a motivator. Like, people have, backed you, use that as energy. I also really consume a decent amount of media. So watching kind of, fitness influencers and stuff on YouTube is always something that gets me energized. Latest season of Vinland Saga, an anime on Netflix, that is an awesome anime. So that every time I watch an episode of that'd get me excited. I had a band that had recently released an album. Well, two bands that recently released albums, Sleep Token and Event Animate. They're both amazing albums, so they got me pumped up whenever I'd listen to them, which wasn't every day, but every second or third day I'd listen, and I'd be, it'd get me above that level of, I've got to do this, I have to, I'm struggling, blah, blah, blah. And then into that kind of headspace of, I want to do this. I signed up for this. This is cool. I'm going to be so happy when it's done. People are going to be like, that's awesome. So really got me kind of in that above and beyond space where you can kind of transcend the mental and the physical issues. What got me through physically was the massage gun and stretching that I talked about before. But also about halfway through, I started using sugar. So I don't really eat or drink processed sugar anymore. A few years ago, I kind of gave it up. I was eating too much chocolate and lollies and stuff. So I kind of gave it up, and I really only use it for exercise on occasion. This time, however, I desperately needed something in the second half of the day to get me through. And so I started having one glass of soft drink, of Pepsi in particular, with my lunch. And that was enough to keep my energy levels up for the second half of the day, and to do the remaining, usually 200 push-ups or so, in the afternoon. So that was really important. That was really necessary to keep me energized physically to be able to do them, because my body was running on fumes, even though I was trying to eat more and eat as much as I could. The last thing that I'll mention is technique, actually. Because I was doing so many push-ups, I had to figure out what was the technique that would work for me, not to do the most efficient push-up, but the push-up that I could do 9,000 times, basically. So you can imagine I started to play around with kind of hand positioning and where my arms went and how far up and back. And you'll see in the video, actually, that sometimes I do mix it up quite a bit. But all in all, I found it was just a kind of this width push-up that was the easiest to get through. And it was not ideal in some senses, because I don't have a super strong mind-body connection with my chest. And so I think I use my shoulders a bit too much when I do push-ups. They were the most sensitive areas, and I just have a sense that I kind of always have as well. So you'll see that maybe my technique as well, it's maybe not as chest focused as it could be. And that actually is something that I could or should try to improve in future, so that I can do more push-ups, because obviously chest is a bigger set of muscles all around to here compared to these kind of front delt kind of area. So realistically, could have done a little bit better in terms of technique, but I just had to go with whatever worked. So whatever created the least discomfort for me was how I had to do it. And so that's kind of how it worked out. So there's a little bit about some of my technique, how it felt waking up every day, how much that was a struggle. I released some kind of daily video updates that are like a minute or two long all throughout as well, to give you a sense of my mental attitude and how I was going with it. So they're there to check out as well if you'd like to. But yeah, needless to say, it was unbelievably tough, and actually probably a bigger mental struggle than a physical one, I'd say, at the end of the day. So final thoughts on the challenge. I'm glad that I did it. It was something that I hadn't ever thought about doing before, and it was really tough to do, but rewarding. Particularly when I finished, I felt such a relief, particularly the next morning. It wasn't so much on the day, but the next morning I felt such relief to be able to just lay in, just not have to do anything as soon as I woke up, not have this big looming feeling over me. That felt so good. For me as well, it goes into a bank of accomplishments that I have. So I've done a few things now that I think are really amazing and that I take pride in, and that's something that I tend to struggle with. And so that goes into my kind of big bank of accomplishments to, you know, when I'm struggling or when I don't feel that confident or anything, I can go, hey, you've done some pretty crazy stuff. One of the crazy things that you've done is do 9,400 push-ups in 23 days. And that's amazing. So you can do anything. So again, it goes into that bank along with running a marathon and hiking through the bush for 8 days and all these sorts of things that I can use to mentally help me in my work, in social situations, anywhere that it's helpful. So that's amazing. I love being able to build up that bank as big as it can get. Another thing that I have thought about throughout the challenge was an appreciation for my physical body. It's so amazing to be able to do something that people think is impossible, or is like they never even fathomed that it could happen. And I really like that. I really like going, oh, I don't know whether I can do this or not, so I'm going to put my body to the test. I'm going to put my mental to the test and just go for it. And my body responded, and it was, you know, it was tough. It was super hard, but it was fine. It was fine. This thing is, you know, designed to do some amazing things. So I had a really strong appreciation for my body at the end of the challenge. As well, I had a really strong appreciation for the people around me. You know, I had people messaging me and asking about updates, and people donated, very generous with their donations. I raised over $1,500, so that was pretty amazing. It's the most I've ever raised for charity before. So that was very cool. So yeah, another appreciation for the people around me and how supportive they can be. And lastly, I don't think I'll be doing push-ups anytime soon for a long time. You know, I'm back in the gym, which is great. I get to be able to go back and do some other exercises, some other stuff that's not just this 9,000 times, but I get to do some lat pull downs, I get to do some squats, I get to do all these things that I couldn't during the challenge because I didn't have enough time, I didn't have enough energy to spare to go to the gym and do some pull-ups and bent over row and all those sorts of things. So I'm excited that I get to go back into the gym, but I'll be avoiding push-ups for a bit. I'll get into, still hit my chest for sure, but I'll save the push-ups just for warm-ups because I'm sick of them. Maybe next year I'll think about doing the push-up challenge again. I don't know if I'll go crazy with it. Maybe if this video pops off and I get like 1 million views or something, I'll up it to like 15,000 in 23 days or something like that. But I think I've kind of done the challenge for now. I'm going to forget about it. And then when it comes around next year, maybe I'll feel like doing it again. We'll see. Anyway, that's all. Thanks for watching.